This is Big Dungeon Energy, and we are going to always be reviewing things like that to sort of bring that extra bit to your D&D game. So stay tuned. We're going to talk about the system, we're going to review the basic adventure, and then give you our final thoughts on whether or not this is something you should introduce into your D&D game. I'm Joey Thaco, and this is my co-DM, Alessandro sees the means of production, Masi. I have something special for you here today. Ali, why don't you tell them about it?
Today we're going to be reviewing Rescue of the Blackthorn Clan, a couple's adventure. A Valentine's Day themed module for Pathfinder and D&D 5th edition, written by Catherine and Thomas Rush.
All right, tell me about this adventure, Ali. I understand that it's a one-shot. Why is this one special?
An adventure that is designed for 2 players who will alternate their DM and player responsibilities between them. And it is, the real draw of it is that it is a couple's adventure. It is designed to be romantic in nature, all of the high fantasy adventure that you would expect from D&D or Pathfinder.
So, you know, when I read this adventure, I'm going to tell you the title really didn't stick out to me. It sounded like any other adventure module. But when you introduced it to me and you said, oh, this is a holiday themed one-shot, which they're always fun to play. They're a great way to take players who maybe have taken a break from the game to come back to the game. That got me excited, but what was really unique and dynamic about it, as I read the adventure, I think that its greatest strength, really, and we'll get into it, is that it is an amazing and wonderful way to introduce your significant other to the hobby we all know and love.
I think that that's a great way of using this particular module, but I actually found that the greatest draw was in their romance system, which they use to simulate how it is the 2 characters could fall in love, mainly by using a lot of the tropes that you would expect in romance literature. I think it pairs very well in this adventure and can be used in just about any adventure you would want.
How does this adventure start? Where are we? Are we in a tavern?
No, the adventure actually starts with a rescue.
Okay.
A bit cliche, I know. The characters are pre-written to fit the adventure. You don't really design your own. 2 characters are Wynn Blackthorn, who's a 4th level sorcerer, and the ranger Tarek Greycloak. The adventure begins, Wynn having been captured, and Tarek hired to go and rescue her.
So I thought that that was a little cliche, especially because they make Wynn the female character, but they do tell you that, you know, the genders are interswappable, so you can, you know, make Wynn the male, or you can make them both female, you can make them both men. But I did feel that that was cinematic maybe, but a little bit of cliche.
Yeah, but I mean, I think that for a one-shot where you really, I mean, this adventure is designed to be played in 4 scenarios lasting 2 hours each, and you kind of want to get into the action right away. So starting the adventure with, okay, you're here, that person needs to be rescued, what do you do?
So look, I agree completely. I think that the biggest strength that this adventure has, especially, you know, as I say when introducing new people, is there's not a lot of that, how did we get here? It's not like you're on a road, what do you do? It's a great thing that they bring you right into the action, and especially for new players, and especially, you know, given the fact that this is not designed to be a multi-campaign with many sessions. It's really designed something you can play in 1 or 2 evenings.
We should really get on to game system, how it is that characters fall in love with the system that Catherine and Thomas Rush designed. Oh, hang on a second. That's right. That is the right.
All right, we got that. We want to give credit where credit is due at Big Dungeon Energy. Don't forget it. Now, if you like this module, we're going to put a link down to below where you can buy it on Drive-Thru-RPG. We encourage you, if you buy it through our link, it helps the channel. The love rules, I think, are designed well in the sense where, to give you guys a brief overview, every time you're going to choose pet peeves and attractions. And you're going to do this in secret from the other player. So you're going to list the things that your characters are attracted to and the things that your characters are turned off by. And anytime the other player does things that attract you or turn you off, you're going to add points to a pool, which will determine the level at which your characters are attracted to each other.
Yeah, these things are determined based on events that will reasonably happen in-game. As an example, I don't know, having a good body, for instance, might be a turn-on for your character. That'll be represented in-game by if the other person succeeds at a physical test of some sort. You can also roll these things randomly so that your a character, you might design your character one way, and then the character might be attracted to things that might be atypical, which of course works in romance tropes where a person doesn't even realize why it is that they're attracted to somebody, but they end up liking it anyway.
Certainly, I don't want to offer any spoilers because it's definitely not the purpose of this review, but I think that the nature of the story, when you boil it down to its simplest terms, is really a rescue and mystery themed adventure. I think that they put a lot of scenarios in there where you will get opportunities to see your turn-ons and your pet peeves come into play so that you can build a relationship and sort of direct the flow. And it could be that one character is hopelessly in love with another, and that's how it goes. It could be that both of you are in love, and they give you a guide.
Both hate each other in the end.
It could be both you hate each other in the end, and then you'll have to play a sequel. I think that what's really good about it is at the end, they really get role-playing tips on how you should role-play at every stage that you're in love. And I think that the system does have some flexibility to be introduced into other campaigns, but we tried this in Curse of Strahd. I was DMing, and we were playing with another player, and Ale and the other player decided they would try this between their two characters. It was fun. It added an element to the Curse of Strahd that I think worked well. Romance fits right into that setting, absolutely. However, I would caution you, the point system is really designed for something that takes place over 2 sessions in a one-shot to bring a conclusion or a climax.
We started testing the system, me and the other player. Our characters basically fell in love within 15 minutes. We wanted kind of a slow build-up to kind of last throughout the campaign, and it was going way too fast. So while it works pretty well for this one module, and you want to tone down a little bit how quickly your characters get attracted. So instead of, for example, gaining a D4 attraction points for someone being very smart and succeeding at a knowledge check, you'll want to loan it down to 1 point and no more than 1 per day or something.
My recommendation is really divide by 10, and that will probably give you, a campaign where you'll have ups and downs that'll make for an interesting, prolonged romance rather than a flash in the pan.
We gather attraction points as we proceed. Our attraction points go up and down, but finally, what do we do with those attraction points? We gather them, and then what happens? Well, actually, the way that the system is designed is that you end up spending them in order to achieve some kind of a relationship milestone. So, you spend 5 points, and then, the two characters will, hold hands for the first time, or they might kiss, or whatever it might be.
If I can add a comment there, I would just say that I think it's important that you do this player to player. I don't think you want to approach your DM and say to your DM, oh, I want to have this system build up with an NPC. It's way too much for a DM to track on top of everything they're going to track. If you do it with 2 players, you're really putting love in the hands of luck, circumstance, which makes for those tropes of a romance, story. For example, in the Curse of Strahd, there was, there are already romantic elements in it, and Irina's character was attracted to Alessandro's character, which was part of, the whole Strahd and love triangle type of situation. Now, I didn't track the points between Irina and Alessandro's character. However, Alessandro and the other player in the game tracked these points, which really the best part of it was neither of us knew how it was going to play out because it was really up to circumstances and pet peeves and the rolls of the dice.
Yeah. It was a lot of fun. It was me and the other player with you as DM. It worked really, really well once we got the system tailored to how we needed it for the length of the campaign.
I think that other players at the table, certainly can play their game and the story can go on as long as it doesn't overtake. When you're in this particular module, the romance is the story. Like I said, the story is, a very basic, a great introduction to D&D, but the romance is the point to play. In a game like Curse of Strahd, even if there were other players not involved with it, I think it would enrich the role-playing experiences of those who don't, and it would also enrich the role-playing experiences of those around as they watch, maybe strife between their party based on how the romance system works out. I think the adventure as a product is well written. I think that the authors have a great talent for descriptive writing that really immerses you into the setting, and they included a lot of battle maps and a lot of handouts. I wouldn't say that it is anything groundbreaking, but you're going to have everything you need if you print up this module to really be able to run the adventure.
Okay, so what are our final thoughts? Joe, you want to start us off?
My final thoughts is, and again, I go back to what I said at the beginning, this is a great way to introduce someone who either hasn't played D&D in a long time or a significant other back to the game, and it's a fun way to, you know, mark the holiday-themed one-shot. I don't think too experienced gamers are going to find any new territory or the combat super challenging, so they really need to play it with the focus in mind that they're having a romantic story experience. And as for adding it into other games, I think that's really the best part that this module has to offer.
I agree with that. I think that the real draw is the system. I think it does a really good job of simulating tropes that you would find in romantic fiction. I think that it works really well based on the kind of setting that you have up. It worked well for us in Curse of Strahd because it's supposed to be gothic horror, which works spectacularly with romance, and I think that's a real draw. The story itself for Rescue the Blackthorn is, you know, I think it's serviceable. I think it works quite well, but like you said, you know, more seasoned players who have bigger ideas for campaigns are going to find, you know, a little bit to maybe take away from it, but really it's the system in the beginning of the book that I think makes it worthwhile, and I would ultimately recommend the purchase.
So guys, if you're into romance, if you're into D&D, if you want to see adventure module reviews, D&D product reviews, or just get inspiration, that is what Big Dungeon Energy is here for. Please hit that like and subscribe button for more content, and stay tuned as our next video is going to cover everything DM screens, from the basic cardboard ones to handmade ones you can buy on Etsy. Thank you again. Big fun requires big inspiration.
Okay.
All right, guys, I want to take a minute today to thank our sponsor for this video, Keeps. Keeps is a online, all-included, you know, hair subscription service that helps you retain what you...
We're not sponsored by Keeps.
Oh. Well, listen, Keeps is a good product, and you can visit it and tell them Big Dungeon Energy sent you.
Don't